Hey and welcome back everyone to Kevin's World, today in a bit of a new setting. If you're new here, thank you for joining. My name is Kevin and I'm a soon-to-be medical student at Barcelona London Medical School. So this video will be all about the personal statement and what you need to know in order to apply to medical school in the UK and writing a really good personal statement. So in one of my videos, which I talked about how to apply to medical school in the UK, which I will link somewhere here or down in the description box, I talked about the personal statement and basically referred to it as a love letter to the subject you're applying to. What this already suggests is that the personal statement is a very, very important part of the application. Applied to 5 different universities in the UK, which are UCL, Queen Mary University London, University of Manchester, University of Aberdeen and University of Edinburgh. So the only university that rejected me was University of Edinburgh. That was pre-interview, but all the other universities accepted me and gave me an offer. So yeah, so before we dive right into the video, I would really appreciate it if you could give this video a like and subscribe to my channel, because I will upload more videos related to medical school and university. So if you do not want to miss it, please hit the subscribe button and also the bell button so you get notified when I upload new videos. So the personal statement is an integral part of your UCAS online application, which means that you have to submit one when you apply to UK universities. But what the personal statement exactly is, how you should structure it, and my top 10 tips for the personal statement, all of that is gonna follow now. So what is the personal statement exactly? So the personal statement is an essay which has a character limit of 4,000 characters, which equals around 500 words. The name personal statement sort of implies that it's a personal story, maybe about something you really love or an event that happened in your life, but the name might be a bit misleading here, because in the UK, the personal statement is more about your motivation for the subject or the course that you're applying to and why you think you would be suitable for that. So this is a bit of a difference between other motivational essays and the personal statement. The personal statement is designed to give the university a first impression of you as an applicant. This impression is really important when it comes to applying to medical school, because universities along your grades will use your personal statement probably to either determine if you're invited for interview or if you get an offer post-interview, or sort of a combination of both, but most likely it will be used in some way or another. So in particular for medicine, your personal statement should show and tell the university why you would like to study medicine, what is your motivation and where does that motivation come from. Have you taken the necessary steps to sort of inform yourself about a career in medicine, and are you aware of the realities of a career in medicine and what makes you suitable and a good applicant for medicine and becoming a doctor later on in your life. So your personal statement is sent to all the universities, and it's always the same personal statement because you only get one. This means that the personal statement is not the place for you to put in all the details you love about the campus of University Y or about the course structure of University X. Keep in mind that for your 5th choice, which cannot be medicine, you send in the same personal statement, which might make it a bit tricky if you apply it to something that is totally unrelated to medicine. If you apply to science subjects or something health related, normally it's not a problem. Of course, the university will most likely realize that they are your insurance choice or sort of like your 5th choice, but most of the time it doesn't matter. I sent in my personal statement when I applied to UCL for biomedical sciences and I still got an offer. So what does the personal statement include? So in the personal statement, we will talk all about our motivation for medicine, our work experience, our volunteering experience, all the extracurricular activities that we can sort of link to medicine, the books we've read, and anything that we think might sort of relate back to medicine and why we would like to study it, or why it makes us suitable for studying medicine, as well as showing that we are a well-rounded person. So also some awards or prizes we won. So now that you have a sort of overall idea of what the personal statement is, you might be asking, okay, I want to start writing my personal statement, but how should I structure it? Where do I start? So as with every essay, we start with the introduction. And I think the introduction is very important for the personal statement, because the introduction is the first bit of your personal statement that the admissions team is going to read. And if you imagine that the admissions team has to read thousands of personal statements, probably every application cycle, it's a good idea to make your introduction engaging and sort of grabbing their attention so they would like to read the rest of your personal statement. While you should be authentic and attention grabbing, don't try it too hard, because if you put in those sort of cliche phrases like I've been wanting to study medicine since I'm 5 years old, I don't think that that's really a strong argument and not necessarily true, because when you were 5 years old you probably thought about other things but not medicine. So I would recommend you to start with your motivation towards medicine, and if it's possible, find an authentic way to stick out. it can only help. After you wrote your introduction, you're gonna have the main body of your personal statement. I divided my main body into 2 paragraphs. So for the first paragraph, I would recommend you to start with your volunteering and work experience. And why is that? I think your work experience and your volunteering experience are sort of the most valuable things that you can tell the admissions team in order to show them that you're a strong applicant, because your work experience and your volunteering experience are unique to you. Nobody else did probably the same thing or exactly the same thing as you and can talk about them in the same way as you do. Your work experience also covers a lot of different areas. It shows the admissions team that you're motivated, that you made an effort to sort of get an insight into healthcare and working in medicine, and that you're also an engaged student who took over some responsibility. So in the second paragraph, I would move a bit away from the work experience and the volunteering experience, and I would maybe talk more about what is it that makes you suitable for medicine. And now you can put in all those things like extracurricular activities, science subjects you have taken, science projects you have done, and all of that which relates back why medicine is the right choice and why also the university might consider you as an applicant. I would also mention in general the characteristics that you think you've developed or you have that make you suitable for medicine. So if you're a team worker, put it in here, but also back it up with some sort of story which proves that you're a good team worker. Don't just say, I'm a good team worker. No, say, I've been part of the school newspaper where I had to work with a team and I think I did really well. That's why I think I'm a good team worker. So after your main body, what follows is the conclusion. And in the conclusion, I think it's important to wrap it up. Do not maybe put in new things, because at that point, the attention span of the reader is probably already quite low. Just wrap it up and leave an impression, a good impression, a lasting impression. So what is my advice for writing a personal statement? So my first point is that you should start with a draft. And what I mean by a draft is just open your Word document and put a list of things you would like to include in your personal statement. All the extracurricular activities, character traits, awards you want, everything. That doesn't mean that you in the end have to use all of sort of what you put into that list, but at least you have some sort of idea what you would like to mention, and therefore do not run into the risk of forgetting something really important which you would like to mention. Also make sure to do not write your personal statement on the UCAS website, because it has happened in the past with applicants that their personal statement went missing, logged out and then logged in later on again. So write it in a Word document. Ideally make sure to back this Word document also up. And in the beginning, do not worry about the character limit. Eventually, yes, you have to worry about it because UCAS won't let you put in more than 4,000 characters. But in the beginning, just write what is on your heart, and then later on you have to refine it and cut it down and cut out parts and bits that you think are not as valuable as others. But in the beginning, do not worry about the character limit. So number 2 is that you should start early. And what I mean by start early is that you should really start early. So ideally maybe already at the beginning of your summer break, or even before that, even though the deadline is in October, because a personal statement is not something that you should write overnight. No, it's a process, and you should write several drafts, refine them, and go over them again and again until you have a final version which you're really happy with. So my third point is, and probably one of the most important, is that you should be critical about your own personal statement. Well, we should all be confident in ourselves, and that's good, but at the same point be critical about your personal statement, because it doesn't really help you if you think you did everything really good and then later on you realize when you already submitted it, oh okay, that and that part weren't as good as I thought and I might have changed it, but I just wanted to get over with it. No. I know it sometimes hurts if you have put in a lot of work into something and then have to sort of destroy it again, or to at least delete some parts, cut some parts out, but it's only for the best. Be honest to yourself, brutally honest, and that only can help making your personal statement better. This doesn't mean that you have to criticize everything you do, but just be critical, you know? Ask yourself after every sentence you wrote, does this sentence really add value to my personal statement? So my fourth point is, show it to a lot of people and let them read it and get advice from other people, which is really important because other people will give you a perspective on your personal statement which you don't have, because it's your personal statement. You have sort of all the information in your mind, you know what you wrote, you know the stories, but other people may tell you things about your personal statements that you don't realize, and also tell other people to be critical about it, especially if you show it to relatives, because relatives tend to be very supportive, which is great, and they love us, but at the same time, in this case, it's better if they're brutally honest with us. Yeah, and besides your relatives, you should show it maybe to your teacher, to another person that knows you from some sort of extracurricular activity. The more different sort of perspectives you have, I think, is better, but of course feel free to ignore certain advice if you don't feel comfortable with it. So my next point is that no one cares what your mom, your dad, your sister or your goldfish did. Because normally the personal statement is a space where the university looks, so what is it about you that makes you suitable for medicine? Of course you could mention something like my mom is a nurse and that's what sparked my interest in medicine first, but does this really add value? Unless you think what somebody else did really adds value to you as a person or to your application, don't put it in there. Because most of the times nobody really cares what your mom does or your dad does unless it really relates and adds value. My next point is that you should not list things rather than narrowing it down to maybe 2 to 3 points and then really focusing on them and reflecting about them. Because universities are not looking for sort of a list of things. If they would look for a list of things, they might as well ask you just to write a CV where you put down every single thing you did without any sort of reflection process. But obviously the personal statement is an essay, and sort of in an essay, rather than listing something, you should reflect about the things you put down. So rather than just saying, okay, I did this, this and this, no. Think about what questions might somebody ask if you would tell them what you did. So some sort of volunteering or you had some sort of work experience, and now what is it that you've learned from that experience? What made you more suitable for medicine because of that experience, and why do you think that experience is worth mentioning? So my next point is that medicine is not only working as a doctor but also being a scientist or working in science, because medicine and science go hand in hand. So while it might be true for you that you would like to work in a clinical setting later on, a bit of science and why you like science, what interests you about science, and what you have maybe done in the past sort of to engage with science and get an idea what working in science might look like. Because there is also a huge part of medicine which is sort of research and medical research, and of course a good doctor is also always aware of the latest research and good research practice. So yeah, definitely make sure to not leave out sort of the science bit. So my next point is language and flow. And what I mean by language and flow is that language, I think, is pretty obvious. You should use language that is appropriate to the context. So avoid slang, but also do not be too formal. In the end, it's not a letter to Kurt. But also at the same time use words that are very descriptive and not vague terms, because they don't really add value if it's too vague. And then also with the flow is that your personal statement should sort of flow. It shouldn't be choppy and like after every paragraph it seems like you're entering a whole new world and it's basically 5 different essays in sort of one document. No, it should be one personal statement, and you should find nice transitions from point to point so it's easy for the reader to follow your personal statement. So number 9 is something that I already mentioned in another video, which is all about the medical interview, which I will link somewhere here or down in the description box. Definitely make sure to check it out if you would like to have some advice about the medical interview. But the point is that during a medical school interview, the interviewers will most likely have a copy of your personal statement and can and will ask questions about your personal statement. So be ready to defend everything you've mentioned in your personal statement. If you put in something into your personal statement that you cannot talk about later on or defend that point, then don't put it in there. Yeah, don't say you've read some books that you actually haven't read, or maybe you've read 5 years ago but cannot talk about them at all. So number 10 and my last point is that your personal statement is unique to you. So what this means is that at the end of the day, you have to feel comfortable with your personal statement. It doesn't make much sense if you're not comfortable at all with it, but still submit it because certain people said it's better that way. Because in the end, your personal statement is, as the name already says, personal. So make sure you're comfortable with your personal statement. Yes, accept advice from others, you should do that and be critical about it, but also make sure that you're comfortable with the final product. And if there's something is in there which you're not really comfortable about, then think twice if you really would like to keep it that way, or maybe change it in a way which makes it more you, if that makes sense. Basically, that's it for this video. I hope you found it helpful, and if you did, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a like down below. Also make sure to follow me on my Instagram and subscribe to my channel as well, hitting this bell button. If you have any other advice or questions or anything, please feel free to leave a comment down below. I'm really happy to read from you guys and I'm always answering, so yeah. And I hope I see you guys next time. Thank you for watching and stay safe until then, and start with your personal statement. Bye!